Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Andy Grant, transformational coach, healer, and the founder of The Andy Grant. Andy works with men to help them reconnect with themselves, process emotional changes, and live more authentic, aligned lives. His journey is deeply personal, moving through depression and internal struggles to build a platform focused on healing, authority, and purpose. Andy, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Olivia. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm very much excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about your journey and how you're helping other people now. So, Andy, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you were doing before you jumped into the coaching world, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
I do not recommend my path to anyone.
Okay. First of all.
First of all, note it, don't do it. So I am a survivor of multiple suicide attempts. From a very young age, I was depressed. I thought I was broken, flawed, hopeless, helpless. And it took multiple attempts to end my life before I realized that maybe, just maybe, I'm supposed to be here. Maybe my life has a point. Maybe there's something I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And once I opened myself up to alternatives, psychiatry, prescription medication, I only had side effects. They weren't helping me. So once I began to look out into the things I didn't know about, once I was willing to be wrong, once I was willing to have try experiences, that's when everything began to shift for me. And my first coaching program was in 2010, and I didn't even realize it was a coaching program. I took it for me. I took it to clear myself. I had so many people over the years tell me that all the suicidal stuff, Andy, it's not even you. I'm like, great. What does that mean? What do I do with that? Right?
Yeah.
So everything I do today with clients is something that I learned literally to save my own life.
Beautiful. Firstly, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And secondly, thank you so much for doing what you're doing now, because naturally that can be a very hard place to be in. It can feel like a very lonely place. And I feel that might be more than a lot of people that will resonate with that message as well that are listening. So hopefully it can help some people out with this episode as well. But yeah, so you obviously went through that journey yourself, tested a lot of things, found out what some stuff that worked well, and then moved on from there. So at what point did you kind of develop and realize that you could really help other people with these methods that you was learning and teaching yourself?
Yeah. So it was during this year-long coaching program that I was in that I thought was just a healing program, where there were practice sessions and you got teamed up with people. And I started to hear that everybody wanted to work with me. Everybody wanted to practice with me because I was really good at this. I'm like, really? And so they're asking me, when are you going to launch a coaching business? And I'm like, I hadn't even thought of this. So, because it's really bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
I dropped out of college to avoid a mandatory public speaking class once upon a time.
Wow.
And now, I host a podcast. I'm speaking all the time, live in person. So, one of the biggest things that anyone can learn is that they're wrong about who they think they are.
Yeah.
Right. But so it was 2010. I began working with people. And it was always a side thing. I kept my full-time job. I worked in a high-tech company where I was in charge of online video. And that helped me too, because I began to make videos, my own content and things like that. So everything went hand in hand well together. I was learning various energy tools, and I worked for a company based in California. So they'd be like, read my energy. What do you see in this project? So they were very open to it, encouraged it. But I've studied everything from positive psychology to energy work to healing. And again, everything I've tried didn't work. So I don't bother talking about those things. I don't share the things that I didn't get like really tangible benefits from. But and one thing I didn't realize, how much being of service, how much something helping somebody else feels so good to me.
Yeah.
And if I realized that at a younger age, I would have been on a road of service much sooner.
I love that. And I feel like it was something I heard Tony Robbins say in a podcast once, where he said that he kind of realized that from himself. Lucky for him, maybe at a younger age. And he did say having that purpose, naturally everything else comes good in life because you know you're helping other people with what you're doing with your own. So it does fill you with such fulfillment. And that is something that is lacking when you kind of don't know who you are yourself and you are in that lost space kind of hating everything about your life. Naturally, I've been there myself, so I know exactly that kind of journey you go on and what it takes to pull yourself out of it. So leaning on those techniques, learning what could work well for you, and obviously what doesn't work well for you doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's just not a path that you need to go down yourself. So we kind of become all that together, and here we are now at the top of the coaching world and moving forward. So Andy, let's dive into the business a little bit more, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So at this point in, who would you say is your ideal client? Like, who is it you very, very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you help them? And how would you support them along their own journey?
Yeah. So I target high achieving men who have checked all the boxes of success off, but still feel empty inside.
Yeah.
I believe what sometimes masculinity really comes under attack and men have destroyed the world and all these kind of stories out there. But I believe what the world needs is more masculinity because at the core, men want to protect, to provide, to be on purpose, to have a mission, to feel fulfilled. We want to be praised. We want to be told we're a good boy for doing good quality things in the world. And so many people are afraid to admit that. So many guys are taught that being vulnerable is wrong and weak, and especially in a leadership position, that just makes a very vulnerable organization.
Yeah.
If your staff are afraid to tell you what's really going on for them because you're afraid to tell them what's really going on for you, and it doesn't mean every board meeting has to be you in tears, but your willingness to go there gives everybody that you support or work with the freedom to be fully themselves too. And that
Yeah.
is what I find makes the best cultures, the best communities, the best companies.
Yeah, I love that. And as you say, being open yourself with how you're feeling and what you might be struggling with at that moment really allows other people to have that same safe space that they can lean on. And obviously, for a work environment, for an atmosphere, there's nothing more productive than everyone kind of being on the same page and understanding each other. You know, not every day
Yeah.
needs to be a good day. So it's just nice when you kind of have that awareness of what's going on in someone else's life and moving forward from there. So, Andy, how is it you work with your clients? Like, what is it like to work with you, and what are those kind of methods that you pull them through to help them get
Yeah.
through what they're looking at?
So my highest level of service is one-on-one, really, I call it concierge coaching. I'm available 24/7 to my clients, and I keep
Beautiful.
it's a very select few because I and why I target the high achievers are because they can have the biggest impact.
Yeah.
People on the top of a company, you know, when I help a man enjoy life again, feel fully alive, engaged on mission, on purpose, it propagates through all of their relationships, through all the people they work with, all the people they serve, and it really selfishness gets a bad rap. If a good man puts himself
Yeah.
first, it helps everything. It helps all aspects of life and everybody in his orbit. So it's primarily made of weekly one-on-one live sessions where we'll do traditional coaching, intuitive coaching. I'll teach rituals and little spiritual practices to help people get grounded, to help people connect to the light, to help more men realize we're not just a meat suit, right?
Mhm.
I was raised so I have two generations of people before me in my family that did die by suicide. So I was raised that I was just the product of bad brain chemistry, that we're all just this random happenstance. We're this almost like cosmic whim that we are here. And we all have a much deeper reason to be here.
Yeah.
And when a man loses his sense of identity, when a man doesn't know who he is, and he's just going through the trappings of success, get the house, get the career, have the 2.5 kids, have the great sports car, yet I still feel empty and they
Yeah.
don't share it enough. Oftentimes I say the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. Too many men wait till they hit rock bottom to ask
Yeah.
for help. So I try to reach out. I'm open and honest about everything I've ever experienced so that more men realize they don't have to go splat before they ask for help.
Yeah, I love that. As you say, so we don't have to get to that point and scrape you off the ground. We want to get you before you've hit the ground. And as you say, a lot of men do. It's kind of the stigma of the world. It's seen as a weakness to reach out for help. And especially in the current world, even men and women are being pitted against each other about who's the most masculine. And it's like we need to let each other be and just kind of get on and serve your own path. As you say, find your own version of success. It's very silly comparing yourself to someone else if you don't actually know how they're feeling on the inside, which obviously is the half of what you're saying there. On the outside, they might look like the most successful person on paper, but if they're not expressing how they're feelings and showing it off, you're just kind of painting that bad picture for somebody else to go and follow and copy, which is that negative trickle down effect, which obviously what you're trying to promote is that nice, good trickle down effect when you hit those leaders and it can really have an impact on other people around them. And I suppose, Andy, with all that being said, it is a very busy, very noisy world at the moment. A lot of kind of shiny object syndrome going on and imposter syndrome affecting that as well. So how do you go about acquiring your customers? How do you make yourself known and your voice heard? Like what channels and methods are you really finding most effective at the moment?
So I've been doing my podcast, Real Men Feel, for 10 years now.
Beautiful.
And that gets me a lot of attention. We've won a couple of awards. We've just been rated, I think, in the top 10 by two different ranking podcast organizations in the world. I don't know how they figured it out, but glad to be there. So I get a lot of guys through that. And a lot of men will tell me that their girlfriends or spouses found the show and said, "You need to listen to this." So
Awesome.
again, like if my podcast was called "How to Lead for Men," there'd be a more organic, like it's a very few men that are looking, how can I feel more? But
Yeah.
again, that's the depth. That's the truth of it all. I want to make joy more synonymous with masculinity than it is today, because I think again that's one thing that guys don't realize they're entitled to and are worthy of. But my podcast, being a guest on podcasts, I make daily content, lots of video reels, so I get a lot of connection on LinkedIn, via Instagram, and also live workshops and events. And when I first started coaching, most of my clients were women. But over the years, I kept being drawn to, I'm supposed to do something for men. I got to do something for men. And,
Yeah.
the easiest path would be for women because women are just more open
Literally,
to
I was about
the
to say.
energy to try things. But I always tell people that my goal is that I share something that piques your curiosity because energy work is much better experienced than explained. And I give full guarantees. If we do a session that you've never heard of, you think it's wacky, if you don't feel anything, great. Here's a full
Yeah.
refund. I've in 15 years, I've had one person say they felt nothing and I gave them a refund.
Awesome stuff. I love that. And as you say, you'd never know until you try it. And the problem with energy work, and I think it's so much needed, so much more needed in the current world now than ever. Like I do a lot of it myself, working on myself, my body, my mindset moving forward. And it has this weird stigma about it. And again, goes back to what you're saying about maybe starting working with women before you could even tap into that male market, because we are so much more open to asking for help before we hit the bottom. It's like we know we need where we need to stand and how we help people out. If our cup isn't full, how are we going to do that for everybody else? And it kind of goes back to what you said at the start, as a man, if you're not happy and enjoying your life, you're going to affect the people around you as well. You need to make sure you are that beam, you are stepping into your masculinity in that way that serves you correctly, and you can
Yeah.
move on from there. And energy work is such a beautiful way to do that. So I love the fact that you are getting out there. Even with speaking, podcasting, like you hear so much vibrations through the way that somebody speaks. So naturally, they're going to be attracted to you, your message, and your voice from that. So that's a really cool aspect. And do you run any form of advertisements or anything? Or are you just very organic with the content that you do put out and the people you are attracting?
Yeah, it's very organic. It's a lot of referrals. Because
Nice.
again, so many guys that I help, I've helped them through things they're not going to share publicly. So
Yeah.
it's tough, but they do tell their closest confidants, they do tell their circle, but it's really hard to get here's my client that accomplished this and overcame this, and like, no, I can't,
Yeah.
it's
As you
rough.
say, yeah, it has that stigma, unfortunately, for men, and it is hard for them to reach out for help because they do see it as a weakness. So again, kind of bending into that a little bit. So it's nice you're taking that from there. The organic group, I think, is just a little bit slower than running ads. Obviously, you
Yeah.
get a nice consistency with your ads, but taking that from there. And do you have a team that are helping out at all, Andy, or do you run the whole show yourself, kind of covering all the hats as a founder?
Yeah, I used to outsource my podcast production, but then
Okay.
I noticed I didn't feel as close to it. Like
Okay.
right now, I record an interview, and when I edit it, now I'm really getting to know it even better. So when it's released, I
Yeah.
can quote it, I can refer to it. So yeah, I've expanded to having staff, and then I've retreated back to myself.
Cool.
And now with AI, really can help with a lot of creations, a lot of things that could be done by a virtual assistant now can be done by an artificial assistant. So I'm using that more and more.
Yeah, I love that. As you say, it's kind of having an assistant in your pocket. And I don't know what most founders were doing 10 years ago before AI was around because it does alleviate a lot of that pressure. Even content creating takes up a lot of time. Editing for a podcast takes up a lot of time. So yeah, it's just helping out with those jobs so you can really work on that and move forward. And I suppose, Andy, what are your like visions or your ambitions for the company moving forward? When you think of maybe the next 6 to 12 months, what are those goals, are those milestones that you're working hard towards achieving at the moment?
Yeah. I want to reach more people. And so I have the podcast, have a community, I have kind of these low ticket offers, and then the one-on-one stuff is the highest ticket. And it's
Nice.
really allowing them all to expand, to encourage men to work on themselves and realize that they're also helping the podcast spread. They're helping things to spread. So they're helping more, they're helping guys that don't have the means that they might have for the one-on-one service.
Nice. Yeah.
But I'm also very conscious to be I'm really building a lifestyle company. I don't want to scale to the point that I don't like it. I want to scale to the point that now I don't have time to do the things, the self-care things that I'm telling my clients to do. If I don't have the time to do that anymore and I start feeling burnt out, disconnected and empty inside, that's the real, I don't want to cross that line. So,
Yeah.
it's
100%.
yeah, so it's like I don't work with more than five one-on-one clients at a time, and
Okay.
that's my own just set limit. Um, so that's something that's really important. If what goals do you have, and to realize that again, it's the trappings of success. It's
Yeah.
not a big number of clients. It's not a magic number of income. It's what helps me sustain the lifestyle that I want to be living.
Yeah, and your energy along with that, as you said, it's so important when you are working with people in this that you're going into a lot of depth with your clients. As you say, it's more like a concierge service. They have full access to you, so you are sharing your energy with them. So naturally, understand like as we said, keeping your own cup full before you help others. You have to kind of have that nice to and fro. And the beauty of, as you say, running your own business, you get to redefine your version of success, and that is so important. A lot of people do just chase numbers because they think that's what they've been told to do. That's what everyone else is doing. I need to be at those heights to look like I'm winning as well. But it's not. If you enjoy your life and you can build your business around that life and still have the impact you're looking for, as you say, it's kind of bending that to yourself. And I suppose,
Yeah,
Andy, where are you probably finding the biggest challenge for yourself at the moment in achieving that goal and running that business the way you want to do it?
yeah. It's the number of high quality leads is still the toughest thing because it's hard to target the men that need me most aren't always willing. They're not going to publicly like post I need help if you want me to reach out to you. Like some of the traditional online marketing just doesn't work, and there's similar ads. So again, it's word of mouth. It's inviting people for a private conversation. It's amazing how many times I'll talk to a man for the first time and he'll share things that he says he's never shared with anybody else, and they can't say why they feel comfortable with me. They can't understand why they're so open, but it's because I give them the space to do that. Like
Yeah.
they know through the podcast, or they know and just instinctively they know when we first meet. Oh, this guy's not here to judge me. He's not gonna turn around and laugh. Like I'm here listening to whatever you have to say, and if there's a way I can help you get through the challenges you're dealing with, I will.
Yeah, I love that. And you are creating that safe space for them, as I say, so they can be open. And not everyone might be a great fit for you, but at least when you are providing with just that shoulder to lean on at the start and not pushing anything on your side of things, people naturally open up, and I think that is the best way forward in this kind of situation is just to be curious into their situation. As you say, how can I help you? And then we can take those next steps if we can and move on from there.
Yep.
So awesome stuff. And keeping that integrity as you grow is a really important part. And Andy, I do have one final question to ask you before we log out. So if you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
Ooh, life gets better. Like it gets a lot better. Again, there were so many times that I just wanted to give up. I thought I had no point. We all have gifts, and sometimes it can take you a while to discover them, but it does get better.
I love that. And Andy, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
Yep. The hub of all things me is theandygrant.com. From there, you can get directed to Real Me Feel the podcast. I have a number of books. I have a community called Authentic AF, where men can just connect in private and find support and that they're not alone. And you can also learn about my one-on-one services there as well.
Beautiful stuff. And Andy, thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate your time today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Andy Grant. As he just said, check out the community. Please check out the website. Drop him a message on LinkedIn. I'm sure he'd love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing, and we will see you on the next one.